Hi, Story Wilson here again, and this is my 1996 Range Rover, and what we're going to do today is we're going to replace the EAS compressor shock mounts. These are small rubber isolation mounts that keep the vibration of the compressor from transmitting itself through the frame or the chassis of the car. When they wear out, the operation of the compressor can be felt inside the vehicle. It becomes very noisy, and it can be felt, particularly, I usually feel it in the brake pedal, sometimes in the steering wheel. And when you start feeling all this vibration, it's about time to inspect those rubber mounts and think about changing them. So go ahead and pop the hood and we'll get started. Well, here's the EAS compressor with the cover removed, and the shock mounts are here. There's one here, there's one at the very back, right behind the compressor. And we're going to go ahead and remove these. We're going to use this 8mm socket, and you just simply undo them and we'll inspect them. Well, I've gone ahead and used that 8mm socket and removed the 3 washers and 3 bolts. And now we'll go ahead and pull the pump out and inspect the shock mounts. So the shock mounts are here, and you'll notice it's a rubber disc with, and inside of it is kind of a tube or a sleeve of steel, and that allows you to anchor it to these posts while still keeping the junction between the motor and these posts separated by this rubber grommet. And we're going to go pull these out and inspect them. Pulling these out is a little tricky. What I usually do is I push up from the bottom here and kind of pry as best as possible the rubber, and there it just popped out. And you see what it looks like. This is a relatively healthy one. I have my suspicion that there's one in the back that's broken. And I'll pull the others out and show you what they look like. Well, I've gone ahead and removed all 3 grommets, and as I suspected, this one is completely broken. The steel sleeve that sits inside the rubber grommet has completely torn away. And I basically just allowed the compressor to vibrate and transmit that through the frame of the vehicle into the cabin, and it becomes really noisy. So I'll get the new ones and we'll put the new ones in. Here are the new ones. I received these from Dennis at Rover Renovations. He's a very reliable and extremely comprehensive source for just about every possible EAS part that you'd need. So here's a new grommet, and you'll notice that there's a opening in the center here, and this kind of piece, this flap kind of will fold down. It's more or less pliant, and I usually like to stick that first down into the opening, and you just kind of work it around and work it in. And I usually use a flathead screwdriver to kind of push in the rubber, that last little tiny bit of rubber that just won't get in. And we're going to try to work this in, see if I can film it in a relatively short period of time. Like I said, I'm working in that bottom flap into the steel bracket, and I'm just going to push with the flathead around. You can see I'm just kind of working in the rubber until we're at that very last bit, and there we go. It's seated properly, and we'll do the other 2. As you can see, I've already fitted all 3 rubber grommets, and we put it back on the posts. Now it's time to remount the washer and nut assembly here, and it's very, very important that you do not over tighten this. A lot of people, when they notice the pump is vibrating, they'll tighten these bolts down some more. And that actually, it doesn't help the situation at all, because as we mentioned, there's a steel post in there, a steel sleeve, and when you tighten this, you really just you're not going to secure this anymore. You're actually just going to start bending these washers. So just tighten them down just enough so that they're snug, and that should be it. And now we're done. And you should notice a tremendous decrease in the amount of vibration felt through your vehicle, and hopefully that solves the problem.